Should be starting in three, two. Wait. Four. And we are live. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. How you guys doing? I'm back. Got my main man GQ back, aka Joshua, and then we got our new host, Mr. Eddie Rodriguez. You want to introduce yourself, Eddie?
Yes, sir. My name's Eddie Rodriguez. I'm from Chicago, Illinois. I'm a professional recording artist, producer, engineer, also a heavy sports enthusiast. My big teams that I follow are the New York Giants, unfortunately, the Chicago Bulls. But since I am a sports enthusiast and I respect the hustle, favorite player, favorite follower is Lonzo Ball. That's a big baller right there. So, we're going to rock with the Pelicans this year as the Bulls continue to grow. But yeah, that's how we're doing it in Chicago over here, man. Yeah.
Hey man, how you gonna say unfortunately to your old team?
Man, it's the Giant, man. We're growing. We're going through the growing stages, but it's okay. We're gonna get through it. No problem.
Hey, we still got Eli. So I don't know how much y'all
I
growing
say yeah,
yet.
and then y'all picked up Daniel Jones too.
You're right. You're right. But still, growing stages. Growing stages. Year one.
yeah.
Year one.
Yeah, all right, y'all growing all right. All right, well look, let's go and dive into our first topic. We got a little nice little topics today. So our first topic is I don't know if you guys saw earlier, Kevin Durant reportedly said that he was pissed off at the Warriors, I guess for making him play, but which I don't think he did, which I'll talk about that later. But he's pissed off at the Warriors, and also I think for a second time, Kyrie and Kevin Durant discussed about them playing long term in the future and everything. So what did you guys take on that? Do you think it's serious? And does that change free agency any at all? We can go to you first, Josh.
I think it's serious, but I don't feel like it's gonna have any imminent effect on the NBA due to one of them being hurt for the entirety of next season. Um, Kyrie, whatever team he goes to, if that's the only other free agent that they're intended on getting, then he's gonna be by himself again, leading his own team. So, I mean, yes, I do feel like they're serious, but at the same time, I don't feel like it's going to be splash news because of Kevin Durant being hurt. And if they do link up, I think it will be in Brooklyn, as much people expect.
All right, Eddie, what about you? You think it's serious?
I don't think it's very serious at all, to be entirely honest. I think KD, that report of him being frustrated that Golden State played him, it's the NBA Finals, and KD is a superstar. And yes, he was bearing an injury and whatnot, but it's the NBA Finals. You see that with his very own teammate Clay tearing his ACL, but being able to run back and just simply shoot free throws, not knowing he had a torn ACL at the time, but keeping the option of possibly returning back to the game. It's the NBA Finals, so um, my biggest concern as far as this offseason with those two is I genuinely liked what Brooklyn was doing last season. I like D'Lo growing. I like their young core. With Levert getting injured last season, it gave D'Lo an opportunity to step up, which he did perfectly, in my opinion. And just with him being as young as he is, I would hate to see that team have what they have right now, but dedicate so much time and effort and money into bringing those two superstars when there's no ceiling for that group, in my opinion, yet. They got a lot of potential. They got a lot of ball players. They got a lot of grit. But personally, I would just like to see KD sign that 2-year Golden State. You know what I mean? Give him the opportunity to get that 1 year back after his injury to be in a solidified roster with a developed team already. And then just prove himself that he could still play even close to the player that he was before. So Kyrie, on the other hand, I feel like Kyrie right now just needs to develop himself as a human being, develop himself. We already know he's, in my opinion, top 5 point guard in the league, without a doubt. With the simple fact that he still doesn't even play too much defense, but Kyrie is just he's a ball player on offense. He's a force. So I would like to see him stay in Boston, although it's very unlikely. That's my destination for Kyrie, especially as far as the growth. Like he could grow to be a great player there as long as he accepts his role as a superstar, but lets the role players play their role as well. So
Okay, so I do agree with you, Eddie, as far as such as not being a big deal. Um, like you said, KD is a superstar, and I feel like he might be upset that they pushed him to play, but I think that's a decision that ultimately he made. Also, like, okay, it was something they knew. Now they might have not have told him that, oh, you might tear your Achilles, or it was that serious. But I think they did tell him though, and I think that it was a risk that he was willing to take because he was ready. He wanted to play. He wanted to help his team. So I don't think it's serious as far as such as him being pissed off at them. About him leaving though and him playing with Kyrie, I do kind of think that is kind of serious. I wouldn't put it on like a top like over like an 8 of them playing with each other. I still put it at the bottom five and below because I'm still not for sure. Um, I still think he's going to sign with Golden State. I think he's going to stay there. I think it would be in his best decision to stay there, take a rest, take a year off. They're not going to be that great next year. They're going to be missing Clay if they do resign him. They're going to be missing Kevin Durant. It's going to be set. I mean, it's going to be Steph and Draymond, and they're going to have to get some other pieces. But they'll know that they'll have them next year though when they come back, and they just get that chance to rest and everything. Now for Kyrie, he does need to grow as a man. He needs to grow as a leader also, but that just goes into being a man. I don't think he's ready to lead his own team. I think we saw that with the Boston Celtics. I think he messed up with that team, what they had going. They, you could see they won in the playoffs without him. They took LeBron James and the Cavaliers, which wasn't a great team. It was just LeBron James to a game 7 without him. I think if he actually took that leadership role and he took some advice from people saying like he needs to step back a little, he just needs to mentor these guys because that young team at Boston can be great, as everyone knows. So I think he should stay there, but I still would like to see him in Brooklyn. But I don't think anyone's going to take him by himself. So I don't know where he's going to go yet. I think Kevin Durant does stay in Golden State though. Anything else on this topic?
well, as far as with Kyrie, a lot of people tend to forget, like, although last year wasn't as planned, when Kyrie first got in Boston, they were winning games up until he got injured. Like, he was looking
Sure.
as if he was going to be an MVP that year. And
Mm-hmm.
then once he got injured, everybody stepped up and played their role, especially with Gordon Hayward and Kyrie both being hurt. But I feel like the Celtics' biggest problem is the fact that Brad Stevens wants to play Gordon Hayward because he's making that much money, which I understand. He was a great player. He was a great like leader in Utah, and the ceiling was really high in Boston. But when you got a Jason Tatum, a Jaylen Brown, and the depth that Boston has, you kind of got to be able to just accept that role. You're coming off of an injury. These players are growing, and these are the players that are going to be a part of our future. And just kind of accepting the role of everybody just playing their role on the team. Especially you got 4 people who can score the ball, in my opinion. If Gordon Hayward was at where he was before, and Kyrie, Gordon, and Jason Tatum, and even Jaylen Brown, and just they got to get it situated as far as what they're gonna do in the future to be able to work right now in the past, like in the present time. I feel like just right now they're just in shambles. They don't necessarily know exactly what they're gonna do.
So hold on, let me ask you something. Then I'm gonna just pose this question to both of you guys, because I know you said earlier he's a top 5 point guard, and I do agree with you to a certain extent. But do you think his rank has fallen after this year? Because people were talking that he was the best point guard in the league, saying that he was the best point guard. I don't think I can consider him as the best point guard no more, or 2, maybe 3 or 4. But what would you like? What would you think he failed? Because some people can even say he's 5, but I wouldn't put him at 5. I have Russell Westbrook at 5, and I think he's concrete right there. But where would you put him?
I think it's really hard to rank these point guards by top 5, because if you really are paying attention to their game and who and they're playing certain other top tier point guards, like Kyrie, I feel like his best, when he plays his best, it's against Golden State. Like the best Kyrie that we've seen is against, in my opinion, the best point guard in the league, Stephen Curry.
Mm-hmm.
But for instance, there's a sense of will and a sense of effort that kicks in as a competitor when you're going against the best, you gotta outplay him. You see that with Dame playing Steph. You see that with even CP3 playing Steph, who obviously CP3 is declining, but when he goes against Steph or is making an effort against Steph in the playoffs, you could see CP put up a cool 28 and 10, like with no problem, and still be hustling on rebounds at 6'1", 6'2". So it's really hard to rank these point guards 1 through 5. But if I really was put on the table to do so, Kyrie is 3 right there. And shockingly enough, I'd put Dame at 2. Dame with the leadership and just all around player and point guard and what he does for the Trailblazers. I feel like Dame will do more with the Trailblazers than Kyrie if he was put in Dame's position. So I put Dame ahead of Kyrie now, especially after the playoffs. But Kyrie's still at the 3-4 range, definitely, 100%.
What about you, Josh? Do you still think he's top 5 and do you still have him in that range?
Yeah, I was actually gonna say 3 as well. Dame, what he did in the playoffs this year was just unbelievable, in my opinion. I had him up to 2 as well, and I feel like Kyrie should be 3. I mean, he still had a good year in my opinion, and I think he'll rebound next year.
Okay, then, guys. We're going to go ahead and move off that subject. And, we have somebody asking, what about Westbrook? We can go around the table about Westbrook real quick, Johnny. So far as Westbrook, I'll start off with it. Like I said, he's going to always stay in that top 5 rank for me until he just falls off, which he didn't fall off. It's just his decision-making has always been bad, and I'm just not too keen on his decision-making. And honestly, with the team that they had last year, yes, it wasn't his great, spectacular team, but I feel like that team should have gave. I think it lost in 5 games, or was it 4? No, it's 6, right?
They did. I
They
believe
played the Trailblazers. They lost in 6. No, yeah, they lost in 6. Dame,
that was 6.
What happened? But he was talking trash, and then I didn't get it because he was getting destroyed the whole series. He only had 1 good game against them. So I kind of think that dropped down his ranking. I had him at 4 before that because I do respect the way Russell Westbrook plays. I respect his tenacity. I respect his aggressiveness. I respect the way he plays. But when it comes down to it, I can't. It's 4 point guard. I mean, it's 4 point guards that's better than him, and this is going to be the case. He's at that 5 spot though. He's still in that top 5, but at the moment though, he's going to stay there. But we can go to one of you guys, Josh.
Russell Westbrook, like, here's my thing with him. Like, he is such a competitor that he wants to do anything to get his team to win. And sometimes it's not him shooting the ball that's going to get your team to win. He's putting up like 21, maybe 23 shots, and he'll make like 7 of them. He's taking way too many shots to try and get his team to win. And that might not be the best option for the team. If he, we see him getting all these triple doubles and everything, that's cool. But in certain situations, he's not getting his team as much involved as he can. He's forcing up threes when, his percentage isn't that high. I don't know it off the top of my head. And I just feel like sometimes he needs to learn to take a step back, maybe let PG run the show or give it to a role player in some situations and see what happens. But it often leads to him being the reason that they lose some of these games, but at the same time, they wouldn't be in the situation without him. So, I mean, yeah.
I mean, as far as with me, I'm gonna partially agree with everybody, but at the same time, I strongly disagree. We also got to keep into account that Paul George was top 5 in MVP race, and just I feel like Westbrook has rose his expectation from people who follow sports with the triple doubles and the effort and the tenacity and the zeal that he just has when he's on the floor, that we just overlook everything that Westbrook does by every negative that he does as well. Every point guard has a negative. Like, every point guard does something wrong. There's no perfect point guard in this league right now, in my opinion. Everybody has a weak suit. I feel like Westbrook's weak suit is just simple decision making. Like, you put him in a clutch situation, he wants to be the big time player instead of just making the big time play. He wants to make the bucket instead of making the pass. And I'd still, like, as much as you guys say Westbrook is either 5 or 4, it's a debate between him and Kyrie for me, just because I see what Westbrook does on the floor and how he controls the game. Yes, Kyrie controls the game offensively, but Westbrook is going to make you work harder than a majority of the point guards in the top 5, in my opinion, just with his grit and his grind and his attitude on the floor. A mind game is definitely something that can alter a player and alter how somebody can play against you. If somebody's jawing you up the whole game, you're not. There's a lot of people who could take it. There's not a lot who can. We saw that Dame could last season, but in situations against Steph or in situations against other top tier point guards, it's just Westbrook stands out. And Westbrook, I mean, if Kyrie put up the Westbrook numbers next season, everybody's going to talk about he's the best point guard in the league. And Westbrook will put up the same exact numbers of the 25, 10, and 9, and it'll get overlooked because he's just doing it so consistently. So, I mean, everybody holds Westbrook to a high standard because they know his ceiling is extremely high. But still to this day, and still even with the poor decision making, I would pick him over a CP3, or I would pick him over, in some cases, Kyrie Irving. And it's obviously up for debate. Either way goes right, or there's no right or wrong of it. They all have strong suits and all have weaknesses, but a personal opinion, definitely Westbrook is just undervalued at this point. Everybody thinks he does too much, and I don't see how you could possibly be putting 100% into your team but doing too much. Yes, you make incorrect choices, and yes, you have poor decision making in the clutch, but you're a top tier player. You got to take those shots sometimes. You got to be the guy to make that move. You got to be the guy to get your team going. And I feel like he also brought out the best in Paul George so far in Paul George's career, with the year that he had last season. And then in the playoffs, although they were barred with injuries again, they were still competing. It wasn't a constant blowout. It wasn't a constant like, oh, they're getting ran. They kept the games close and they played their best even through the injuries. Do I think it would have went differently if they were healthy? Absolutely not. I don't think it would have went any different. But that goes further into just the roster and the teams as well. The teams are just entirely different. So I think Westbrook still needs to get the love that he deserves 100%.
So last thing on this topic for me, as far as such, I think what it is too with Westbrook, and I'm not, like I said, I respect Westbrook as far as such, getting the triple doubles and everything. And I do agree with you that if Kyrie or Curry or somebody else was to do the same exact thing he did last season, they would be saying he was the best point guard. Here's my knock when it comes to Russell Westbrook, though. Westbrook doesn't perform in the playoffs. He hasn't performed in the playoffs since they played in the championship against the Heat. That was the last time he performed in the playoffs. And then you add in the fact that they got playoff Paul George, air quotations, who doesn't perform in the playoffs either. And it's not all Russell Westbrook's fault because, like I said, Paul George is supposed to be this MVP player who's not performing in the playoffs either. So that's not all Russell Westbrook's fault, but they need one of them to perform in the playoffs. So that's always going to go knock on both of them. That's always going to be what separates me from the Dames and the Kyrie. Honestly, not even Dame, because they just Kyrie and Steph. But Steph's about to take that leak down too for me because Steph is not clutch. And I think it's fair enough to say that there's really only one clutch point guard in the NBA when it comes to big time moments, and that's Kyrie. And I'm going to stick to that. And I'm talking about big time moments, not just regular season games. I'm talking about big time moments. And that's Kyrie. Damian Lillard is right next to him, though. Not next to him, though. He's right below him. And then you go Steph. And then maybe Russell Westbrook down there. But there's not really any clutch point guards except for Kyrie, which is sad, though, because the best point guard isn't clutch, which you really wouldn't think that, but that's just the case. But let's move on because we have like I said, we have a variety of topics. Let's move on to our next topic. So as everyone knows, Carmelo Anthony has been out the league pretty much all last year. Melo's been getting a lot of disrespect from the fans, from analysts, from pretty much everyone. The real question is, though, and a lot of people think he can't play, but the real question is, do you guys think he can still play in the NBA? And if so, with who? We're gonna go to you first, Eddie.
Uh, I'm a huge Melo fan. Been a huge Melo fan since Denver. Yes, Carmelo Anthony has declined. Yes, he's not the shooter he was. Yes, he's not even nearly as aggressive as he was, which made him the player he was in Denver. But I feel like Carmelo needs to be in a situation that he wants to be in, not a situation that's given to him, like, in my opinion, OKC, um, or even in Houston. I think Carmelo needs to play with players that also want him around too. And realistically, there's one option for that, and that's being a role player in LA. As much as people might, oh, I don't want to see Melo to go to the Lakers and play with LeBron and banana boat quotation and this, that, and the third. If you want to see the best Melo that you can at his age right now, the only way that's going to happen is if he's playing with LeBron and he has a clear superstar having that faith in him as well and giving him the opportunity, even if it is off of the bench. I feel like Melo as a role player off of the bench and a second option on the bench would be a strong suit for any team. There's just a lot of teams that won't accept it because you hear the locker room talk. You hear how Melo wants to be still a third option on the starting roster or even a second option. But I feel like now, especially with last year taking place, he's accepting that role and understanding, okay, I'm not nearly what I was 4 or 5 years ago, even when I was in New York. So it's going to start with him to really accept that role entirely. But I feel like it would be in his best scenario to be able to go to Los Angeles and play with LeBron and AD and come off of the bench and carry the second unit 100%.
And what about you, Josh?
I absolutely feel like he could still play. I feel like if you're gonna get the best Melo you're gonna get, it's gonna be he needs to go to a playoff team right now and be a role player. I would absolutely love to see him go to LA because he's never been on a stacked team or anything like that. Like if you think about his career, the best player he's played with is Allen Iverson. And even when he played with Allen Iverson, he was 31 and 32 for those 2 years he was in Denver. People often forget with Carmelo in his career, he's still averaging, even after 2 down years, he's still averaging 24 points a game. He had 14 straight seasons averaging 20 plus points a game. The man can get buckets, and I feel like he can still do it right now in the NBA. I feel like off the bench, he could probably score maybe like 12 points off the bench for some team in a specific role. So, yes, answer is.
All right, so my obvious answer is yes, Melo can still play in the NBA. It's simple. I mean, this is a Hall of Fame player that's going future Hall of Fame player. Um, Vince Carter's still in the NBA. That alone should tell you that Vince Carter can still play in the NBA. Why couldn't Carmelo Anthony, one of the greatest scorers of all time, play in the NBA? Like I said, I think he will regain his energy and he'll regain his will to play. Because right now, what I think it is, I just don't think he wants to play basketball right now. I think the teams that he's been on, they always blame him. They always say it's his fault, but it's really not his fault. Sometimes, yes, partially it might be his fault because he doesn't know how to take his role. And sometimes that's what it was with the Thunder. He wanted to be a starter. He's not a starter anymore, I don't feel like. But if he takes his role and he regains the energy, which I feel like with the Lakers, that'll be his landing home. And I'm saying he's gonna sign there. I feel like he can still average about a good 15 points a game and a good 5 boards. I mean, count 5 boards. It's like he's gonna be their six man and he can average that. He's not gonna make a lot of money. He doesn't need it. Like he's there. He's gonna be there with LeBron. He's gonna be there with his best friend. Like I think that alone right there is gonna make him. It's gonna make him happy. It's gonna make him ready to play basketball again. It's gonna re-energize his will to play. Because some people they lose their will to play. That's what happened. And I'm not comparing Melo to Jay Cutler, but Jay Cutler stopped wanting to play football because he just didn't feel like playing no more. And I feel like that's how Melo is right now. He needs something to push him to like a little shove off the edge to push him to go play basketball again. And I think that'll be it. But anything else on this topic, guys?
I'm good. Melo's gonna hoop next season. Let's just remember that. Let's remember that. Remember this right now. Melo is gonna have a very good bench season. Like, he's gonna play well if he goes to LA, and that's a personal opinion, but I'm strong on it. I really think if he's in that scenario, he's gonna shock people. He's gonna still be able to put up like 9 to 12 point quarters. Like, he could catch fire. He's a shooter. He's a scorer. Shooters keep shooting, and Melo does not stop shooting. Like, he could be 0 for 8 and still continue to shoot the ball because he knows it's going to go in eventually. He's confident in his own game. So he's going to have a good season next season. I know it. I feel it.
I agree with you for sure. I think he will too. I hope that he finds a team, and I hope the Lakers actually does sign him. But we're going to move on to our next topic. This one, we're not going to spend too much time to because I don't think none of it. But Kawhi Leonard just opted out of his contract. Anything big? Do you think this is big? Anything serious about this? Or what's the case with this? We're going to go to you first, Josh.
I mean, I just think that this is the era that we're in. People are trying to maximize their money, so they sign these 2-year deals, or I don't really know how long his deal was, but they signed these 2 years deal with a play option. They'll get their $25 million, and next year they hope for more money and another 2-year deal. Exactly what Kevin Durant's doing, and I feel like unless he feels like Toronto is his home, the next team he might do that again with a player option. So I mean, that's where I feel like he's at right now.
I think Kawhi is he's making a smart man move. He like you guys said, they're worried about their money, and I completely understand it, especially when you're a star at that caliber. Do I think we've seen the best of Kawhi Leonard yet? I think he still has like 2 more years of being at a peak, in my opinion. Yes, he's a great scorer. Yes, he's like the top defender in the league, but he's still going to get better. Like, he's not at all in any form close to decline. And I think just for his scenario, he wants to maximize his efforts in Toronto. He sees what he could do in Toronto. If there was one other scenario that would in any form not take away from his legacy as a great player, in my opinion, it would be going to LA, but with the Clippers and winning a championship there. That would make his legacy something beyond special. If he won one season in Toronto, the very next season goes to the Clippers and wins there, that'll speak volumes for his legacy. But as far as just Kawhi right now, in my opinion, he's going to maximize everything that he could get out of Toronto. That's the best scenario for him as a player, as a superstar. And it's definitely in his best interest to stay in the East and go against people who are great basketball players, and Giannis and Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid, but they just still lack the experience. He's gonna bully the East still if he remains in the East, in my opinion. Especially keeping that core group together. I don't know if Danny Green's gonna stay or not, but he plays a huge piece in the playoffs. And if he's not the second piece on that team in the playoffs, it's too much dependency on Kyle Lowry, in my opinion.
Yeah.
If they keep it as strong as they have it right now, and Van Fleet still playing the way he does and getting better, then Toronto is going to be a force to be reckoned with for the next like 3-4 years, as long as Kawhi is there.
I agree with you. On the first answer, I don't think it's a big deal at all, actually. Like I said, players opt out all the time. They opt out to get more money, and that's what he's trying to do. Now, this does open his options up, obviously. I mean, we're all expecting him to opt out, but it opens his options, and it makes it more interesting. Do I think he's going anywhere? No, not really. I think he's going to actually stay in Toronto. But like you said, though, if he does go anywhere, I think it will be the Clippers. I think he does want to be in LA. I feel like if he goes there, they might be able to surround him with other pieces other than what they have right now. I think they should re-sign Patrick Beverley back too. That's something they need to do. They might not, but because they're very fond on Shea Gilgeous-Alexander also. So they might just say Patrick Beverley can walk. But as far as everything goes, though, I think Kawhi's staying. I don't think it's a big deal that he's opting out. They're gonna give him more money. It's Kawhi Leonard. You got to give him more money. It's 2-time Final MVP. But we're gonna move off that topic. Now this is a good one. What is the sleeper team for now for NBA next year? Who's your sleeper team for the NBA next year? Eddie, who's yours?
So with the NBA, with the West and the Warriors, barring injury next season, uh, it's really hard for me to put a name on a sleeper. On the East, I definitely am gonna say Atlanta. I like Atlanta's situation. I want to really see how they're gonna grow with their young core. I saw earlier today that they traded for Evan Turner. That gives them some form of veteran as well. I also think that Denver, although they were huge packed in the West last season, especially in the playoffs, with the Warriors obviously facing the injuries and the West being as open now as it has been in the last 4 years, it's time for definitely Denver and Portland to really step up and show their worth in the West. They've always been stopped by the Warriors. They've been stopped consistently by that dynasty. And now with that dynasty having the injuries that they have, I think Dame is gonna finally get the opportunity to potentially play in the NBA Finals. A lot of people just there's so much LA talk, there's so much Warriors talk, there's so much KD and Kyrie talk, but Damian Lillard is still in the league, and Damian Lillard is a force to be reckoned with. He's one of the best players in our league right now. And it's crazy that I'm calling them a sleeper, but nobody's going to talk about Portland going to the finals. Nobody's going to talk about even potentially Denver going to the finals, even though they played as well as they did in the playoffs. And Denver, just with Michael Porter still obviously being a toss-up, and obviously we know he's a good player. We just got to see how he plays after his injury. They hit a very big steal in Bol at getting
huge.
they got him the second round, and
They
it's
had
a great.
they have the biggest deal.
It's a great. It's a great situation for him too, as well, to be able to be around not just another NBA center, but Nikola Jokic, and
Jokic out of everyone.
exactly, you're around literally one of the better all-around centers in the league, in my opinion, and it's just going to definitely expand his game, which just gives them even more depth than they had before. And Denver is very scary if they got any more depth than they had last season. And it's just that they, as much, like I said, it's tough calling them the Portland Trailblazers and Denver Nuggets sleepers because they had good seasons, but they're just not talked about. And it's crazy. They remind me of, like, and this might sound a little biased, but they remind me of when the Bulls were as strong as they were. Everybody was talking about the Derrick Rose, but everybody was just playing their roles so beautifully. It was beautiful basketball. And when you watch Denver and when you watch Portland, they played a game to their system. There's a lot of ISO ball. They're getting everybody open. They're working with everybody. And you could tell that they enjoy playing with one another. So those are my sleepers 100% this season.
Josh?
If I'm going specifically off of non-playoff teams that I feel like will make the playoffs, I'm going Atlanta in the East, and I'm going Dallas in the West. I feel like if Porzingis is able to come back and be himself, you pair that with Luka Doncic, you got Tim Hardaway off the bench, and you got my sleeper in the draft. I obviously wasn't here last week, so I didn't get to say my sleeper, Isaiah Roby. I feel like he is going to be a phenomenal role player for them. Athletic defender, 6'8", averaged 7 rebounds in college. If he could shoot, he would be a perfect 3-and-D type of player. But he only made 28 threes last year. That's not a whole lot. So, I mean, if he might got to shoot, he'll be a good player for them. And as Eddie said, the West is wide open. I feel like they could make a move for somebody in free agency, maybe Kemba, that'll put them over the top and make it. Yeah, so that's my sleeper.
So, for my sleeper, I do agree with y'all for the East. I think we all have the consensus agreement as far as such the Atlanta Hawks. I feel like that's a lot of people's sleepers. They had a great draft. The GM, like I said, I still have not found out his name, but obviously this GM has been building a powerhouse with these draft picks, drafting John Collins, Trae Young, Cam Reddish. Like they're just drafting a lot of great players right now. Good players. I'm not gonna call them great yet. They're good players though, and they're young players that can be developed. And they see what system they're trying to do. And actually, their GM is the GM from he worked with the Warriors, and they're trying to build the system right now. And you can see they're trying to build that with 3-point shooters and decent and the pieces around them. So I do like what they're doing there. So I would definitely say the Hawks are my sleeper team there. Now for the you guys are gonna think that this is off a little, but I'm going with the Sacramento Kings. And yeah, see,
I
here's
like
the
it.
why though. You got De'Aaron Fox coming off a phenomenal season. Phenomenal season. You got Marvin Bagley. He didn't play that much, and I think that was a coach more. Though. He averaged 14 minutes that he had. I think Marvin Bagley honestly can be a 2010 guy in the NBA. I think he could be a 2010 guy easily. You add in Buddy Hield, who's been improving every single year since he got traded. Then you add in Boban, and then you have a couple other pieces around them. And they're trying to get not Harrison Barnes, but they're trying to get a couple pieces in the free agents right now. I think if they get everything together and Luke Walton can produce with that team, because I'm still not sold on Luke Walton. I never have been. He coached the Warriors and he got a starting coaching job, which is, it's gonna happen. The Warriors does their thing, but as far as I see it though, I got the Kings there. And going off of your point, I can see how the Nuggets and the Portland Trailblazers can be a sleeper team because, like you said, no one talks about them. So that is a great sleeper team because honestly, I feel like even one of those teams can win the West. Like even one of they can win the West easily next year. Because I'm still not sold on the Lakers yet, and until I see them come together on a full team, until they get their full starting five and everything, I feel like the best team in the West right now is either the Portland Trailblazers or the Nuggets right now at the moment because I know their teams are there. I know who they have on their team. I don't know who the Lakers have. I don't know who the Warriors have right now. I don't know who the Rockets have with Chris Paul and James Harden arguing right now. Which, like I said, you can always say the Rockets can win the division next year also, but we'll see about that though because they always self-destruct in the playoffs. But anything else on the sleeper teams?
I think the Hawks made not a mistake, but one player in the draft that is heavily slept on, in my opinion, is Jarrett Culver. I think Jarrett Culver would have fit so perfectly in Atlanta as opposed to DeAndre Hunter. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like I said, it's not a bad pick. It is not a bad pick at all.
Ooh, I don't agree with that one.
But Jarrett Culver gives me flashes of like a young Clay. You could shoot the ball and you play ratchet on defense. It's like you are strapping up and just seeing that alongside like Trae Young and Collins and the rest of their depth, they would have just been fun in my opinion. Also, just Jarrett Culver, I watched a lot of it of him in college, and just he plays with a grit. I think he's going to be a sleeper in this draft, definitely, especially on the team that he is on. If I'm not mistaken, he's on the Suns.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, he's on the Suns. So, I mean, him playing on the Suns with D Book and Ayton still, because that's a sleeper team right there as well. And if they get that one more piece, they could potentially get a lower seed in the West, but still make the playoffs. A lot bigger of a step forward than if they didn't get another piece. But I think Jarrett Culver is a sleeper as well in this draft.
The reason why I think they because like I said, I think actually DeAndre Hunter is he's my second favorite player in the draft actually, and I love the pick by them because I think he is one of the best defenders in the draft, and I think the way he took over the national championship game, I think that really is what elevated his draft stock right there alone.
Absolutely.
But I think what turned people off with Jarrett Culver what turned Atlanta off. Who did they play? Who did Texas A&M lose to? Wasn't it Virginia?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
And here's what happened. They saw that DeAndre Hunter was giving them buckets.
Yeah.
And they saw him locking them down too. Because that man was the whole game. So I think that's really what turned them off. They saw what DeAndre Hunter did to him. And then they saw what Jarrett Culver did that game. It's like, well, you didn't show us what we needed to see, but DeAndre Hunter did. And then you add on that extra game that he had, which was in the national championship, where he took over in that second half. Him and the shooting guard and the point guard took over. And there was no stopping DeAndre Hunter. He was hitting threes, he was playing defense, he was making an impact. So I think that's what elevated him to that pick. But I do like Jared Culver. Like you said, he can shoot. He can definitely shoot. He plays defense. But in that moment, I think Atlanta Hawks picked the right person. I think Atlanta Hawks definitely picked the right person.
It's a win-win for them.
Yeah, and like I said, you never know. They can both be great. It happens. They can both be great. It happens. So on to our next topic. This is which draft class has more promise, the 2018 or the 2019 NBA draft class? Now I'll start off on this one. This actually isn't that hard to me, and here's the only reason being, I feel like the 2019 draft class is top heavy, but I feel like the 2018 draft class has like literally over like 15 players you can name that has played and that has developed themselves already. Granted, you have not seen the 2019 draft class play yet, but you just say Ayton, you got Bagley, you got Luka, you got Jaren Jackson, you got Trae Young, Mo Bamba, you got Michael Porter who hasn't played a game yet. Colin Sexton, who people forget about. I'm not a fan of Wendell Carter, but you've seen flashes that he can be okay. You've seen flashes that he can be okay. You got Kevin Knox, who is iffy at times, but he showed flashes he can score also. You got Shai Gilgeous, and then you got Kevin Huerter. And I'm still missing some people. So I feel like that alone right there, I feel like that draft class, I feel like has more potential. But the 2019 also could too. I'm not too fine because I feel like that one of the top 3 picks is going to be a bust. And I think it's actually going to be RJ, which it pains me to say. It pains me to say. It really pains me to say. But it pains me. But I feel like one of those top 3 picks are going to be. I think it's going to be RJ. And it hurts to say it. It really does hurt to say it. I think it's going to end up being him. But I think everybody else in the draft is solid. I think that second round pick with Bobo is a great pick. And I think he's going to end up being an all-star later in his career. But just look for it. I hope he proves me wrong. I was wrong about Anthony Davis. I did say he was going to be a bust, and, that didn't turn out the way it did. So, yeah. But he might prove me wrong. But I'm picking the 2018 draft class.
I'm just shocked right now.
I'm baffled.
I had to take a stroll real quick. I can't. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, I'm gonna just say. I feel like it's very even right now. Between the classes without 2019 playing a game. I feel like DeAndre Ayton 2018 has DeAndre Ayton, Doncic, Trae Young, and Jaren Jackson are proven commodities right now. Like, I can't say too much about the rest of them. I don't feel like Mitchell Robinson is like a star. He's a good player. And what I feel like are going to be the 4 stars of this draft is Zion, RJ, Ja Morant, and down the line, Bo. I feel like those are the 4 stars of that draft. And then you got Colin Sexton, who just got drafted over by Darius Garland. You seem to think that they can play together. I don't. Those are point guards that want the ball. Like, I think one of them is gone and one of them is staying. That's just my opinion. Let's see. You got Kobe White. What's the dude? Hunter. What's his first name again? Hunter from Virginia. DeAndre Hunter. Cam Reddish. I just feel like 2019. I feel like 2019 will be better. 2019 will be better, in my opinion. Now I'm looking at this list here.
I think it's really tough, but I really think the deciding factor of it all is 2018's top tier. And when I say top tier, I mean by Luka and Trae. We saw Luka be able to play great last season. We saw Trey be able to play and progress to even become a consistent player for the Atlanta Hawks, who were still not a great team, but you saw Luka putting up numbers and leading the team at a young age. The reason I say it kind of falls onto them is because their situations next season are a lot different from what they were last year already. Like you said earlier in the show, Luka gets paired with Porzingis. Porzingis, before the injury, was going to be a star, in my opinion. We still got to see how he's going to play. And in my personal opinion, it's a given Luka's going to be great. Luka's what, 19 still, or did he just turn 20?
I think he
Like,
just turned 25.
and he was putting up a easy like 25 and 5, like, and the fact that he has the confidence at that young of an age, I think that's what's going to separate him from everybody in both draft classes. But if I were to just go off of straight just what I believe the 2018 draft class is just it's a lot more promising in the fact that yes, Zion's going to be great. Zion's going to be very good. Zion's going to be very strong. Ja Morant is up in the air for me. I don't necessarily entirely like him in Memphis, although yes, you got Josh Jackson. Yes, now you're starting over entirely with getting rid of Michael Conley, but that's a lot of weight on his shoulders that I don't think he's necessarily ready for, or even, to be honest, that well of a player for that situation, especially in the West. RJ Barrett, I mean, the fact that you thought he's going to be any form of bust is ridiculous to me. RJ Barrett obviously spent a lot of time getting overlooked last season at Duke because Zion is there. But in my belief, if Zion wasn't in this draft class, RJ is a guaranteed number one over Ja, 100%. I think he's gonna put. I think he would have 1,000%. And I think he's just gonna develop into a much better player than Ja as well. But still, like I started from the beginning, 2018 definitely is going to be a stronger class for me at the end of the day.
So I know y'all probably think I'm over here like, oh, I'm not. I like RJ. I'm gonna tell you my main problem with RJ is though. I'm gonna tell you my main problem with him. RJ does not come up in big time plays. He didn't come out in big time plays this whole season. You are a Duke fan and you know that, Josh. At all. He didn't come up in big time plays at all. And like I told Cam last week, I feel like he can be a poor man's KD because he can score the basketball. And he definitely can score it at will. But I just am not convinced on him yet because I don't feel like his game will translate. I don't know if he's going to be able to score against NBA talent. I don't know. Like I've seen times when he's been great, and I've seen times where he looks trash. Zion don't look he looks great every play. I've seen even though it's lesser talent, I see him play at a consistent rate where he looks good. I've seen DeAndre Hunter consistent rate. He looks good. Now you go to Cam Reddish and then you go to RJ. I see both of them, and I'm like, they have the ability to score. Why aren't they using this ability every single time? Why are they going missing big time games? Why were they missing sometimes in the tournament? So that's my main problem with them. I didn't, like I said, Cam Reddish, I think he's going to be a complete bust. And that's just a never fact, but that's on a never conversation. RJ has that chance to be a great player. But I'm just thinking, one of those top three players are going to be a bust, and I'm going to go with him. I mean, I'm not picking Zion. I'm not picking Ja. But I keep my word to it. It's going to be on recording. It's going to be on YouTube. So if he's not a bust, then he's not a bust. But I'm saying he is. He's going to be one.
I think you contradicted your point right in the beginning when you called RJ Barrett a poor man's KD. A poor man KD is rookie KD. And if RJ Barrett's even close to rookie KD in his rookie year, RJ Barrett is gonna be fantastic.
No,
He gonna be nice.
A poor man, look, I'm gonna tell you what a poor man KD is. A poor man's KD is averaging 18 points a game, but maybe it's not 18 points. A poor man's KD is averaging 15 points a game, but possibly you might have at least 3 or 4 games where he puts up 30 points, and you see that potential. But then after that, you see games where he looks trash, and that's what I think is going to happen. That's not a
What's RJ averaging next season? What's he averaging? Off top, what you think?
15.
15. Oh,
15.
My question to you, Chad, who do the Knicks have? Just
They
go to
don't have
basketball.
anybody. Look, I'm about to tell you what it is. It's just him, Dennis, and Kevin Knox. They don't have nobody. But I think Kevin Knox has a decent season this season. And I think Dennis Smith has a decent season. I think those two alone will average at least 18 points a game. He averages 15. That's not a bad rookie season. It's absurd that y'all think he's going to be averaging 20 points a game. I don't even think Zion's going to average 20 points a game this season. It's absurd that you think RJ is going to average 20.
I think he's going to be in the 18, 19. I think that's very realistic.
Under 20. Like 19.4.
Look, we will see. But right now, at the moment, I'm staying with my 15. Y'all stay with y'all 19. Once he proves me wrong, I'll shut up. I won't say a word else. I apologize to that man. But just like I apologize to Anthony
you got to apologize on this show.
Yeah. And I will. I made a public apology to Anthony Davis because I said he was going to be a bust, and he's one of the best power forwards we've probably ever seen as far as physical talent. And I said he was going to be a bust because, well, I mean, that's my guess. And literally, I promise you, that's the only player that I've gotten wrong. Anthony Davis is the only player I've gotten wrong. Every single other player, Jahlil Okafor, I called him being, and he's gotten better.
I was about to say, you think
he's gotten better. He's gotten better. But a lot of y'all, I'm pretty sure it was you too, Josh, said he was going to be better than Karl-Anthony Towns, which would never happen. And I told you that at the start of that. And that's what was the main knock on him because he was going to be better than Cat. I've gotten literally every single player right except for Anthony Davis. Hopefully RJ proves me wrong because I want to be wrong. But at the moment, though, I'm right. It's going to be that way. Anything else on this topic? If not, we're going to move forward.
We're going to move forward before I
punch the
camera.
All right. In this era, this is a great one. In this era, do you think Steve Nash, and I'm going to add Jason Kidd in there too, are Hall of Fame players?
Absolutely. Absolutely. 100%. I know in this day and age, we value a lot of people. I'm not going to say everybody, but a lot of people value rings so much. And I know Steve Nash doesn't have any, but let's go off of what he does. You're talking about third all time in assists, over 10,000 assists. When you give one player credit for longevity, I'm going to give it to everybody. So he had 16 seasons. That counts for something. He's a 50-40-90 career player, a two-time MVP, considered the best Canadian player ever, three-time All-NBA first team, and led the NBA in assists 5 times. That's a Hall of Fame career to me, no matter what area you put him in. So as simple as that.
I 1,000% agree. 1,000%. Right there, your facts are my facts as well. You mentioned Jason Kidd. As much as I would like to agree with that as well, just his style of play and his size and just the type of player that he is, I don't see Jason Kidd being as great as he was then in this generation. Obviously, it's a topic that we'll never be able to see, but Jason Kidd, if you're putting him, like you get the comparison that Lonzo Ball is to Jason Kidd. In my opinion, Lonzo is obviously more athletic, and we see how Lonzo is in the league right now. Lonzo still obviously has room to improve, but one thing Jason Kidd never really did entirely was develop a consistent jump shot. And in this league now, you need a jump shot, let alone you're a point guard. Point guards who can't shoot, like you're not in a top tier. Jason Kidd obviously was a top tier point guard in his day and age, but if he was in the league right now, I don't think he'd flourish nearly as well as he did.
All right, so I'm gonna rant a little. It's gonna be towards the end. It's not gonna be long, but Steve Nash and Jason Kidd I mean, Steve Nash is a Hall of Famer, and that's definitely yes at the end of the day. Like you say, the two-time Hall of Famer. Like your stats are the same as mine. I had him down on his paper. Steve Nash is a Hall of Famer. Jason Kidd is iffy with me, but I still think he would be a Hall of Famer. It's iffy. It's very iffy. But I think because it's not who's to say that okay, I see that your Steph Curry's, your Damian Lillard's, they have shots. I can't keep up with them scoring and stuff. That he doesn't work on his shot. I think back in that day and age, he didn't have to. Like it's like, oh, I don't need a shot. I mean,
Right.
I'm a kid. I'm already considered one of the best point guards in the league. I can just do what I'm doing now and I'll be okay. He's complacent where he was at. So I feel like he would have developed a shot, but if we're just going off of what he did, no, he wouldn't. He wouldn't have been the Hall. I don't. He wouldn't have been a Hall of Famer. It'd been hard for me to say he would have been at least. And I love Jason Kidd. He's one of my favorite point guards in the league. But scrap all that. I want to talk about the Hall of Fame real quick for a quick second.
Okay.
The NBA, not the NBA Hall of Fame. The Basketball Hall of Fame is the biggest. It's the biggest joke of a Hall of Fame.
Absolutely.
In sports. It's the biggest joke. It's the biggest joke to the point where David Aldridge is in our Hall of Fame. That alone right there is the biggest joke. But I'm going to tell you why. It is the easiest Hall of Fame to get into as far as first ballot, as far as anything. Why is Yao Ming a first ballot Hall of Famer? As much as I love Yao Ming, there's no simple way is that he should be a first ballot Hall of Famer. There's so many Hall of Famers in the Hall of Fame right now that shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame. But it's not their fault. It's the Basketball Hall of Fame. So they take into account all your international games. They take into account all your international stats, and then they add in the NBA stats. That's not their fault. What the NBA needs to do is have a harder process, and they need to branch off and make their own. They need to make their own NBA Hall of Fame. Because right now it's a joke to me. When you compare it to MLB, where you have some of the greatest players not in the Hall of Fame, you compare it to the NFL, you got Isaac Bruce and Torrey Houghton. You got players like that still have not touched the Hall of Fame. They can't even get a vote or a nomination to get into the Hall of Fame. You got the NHL Hall of Fame that's hard to get into. Like everybody's Hall of Fame is harder to get into than the Basketball Hall of Fame. Like that's why I don't watch the ceremony because it just doesn't seem prestigious. No offense to any NBA or basketball players in the Hall of Fame, it just doesn't seem prestigious because it just seems very simple. There's players that like Draymond Green is going to be a Hall of Famer. I love Draymond Green. He's one of my favorite players, but he's going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. I think he should go into the Hall of Fame, but first ballot, he shouldn't be no first ballot Hall of Famer. That's impossible for me to sit here and say that he's a first ballot Hall of Famer. He's a Hall of Famer, but not a first ballot. It's so many people that's going to go into the Hall of Fame that shouldn't be first ballot or shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame. Just ridiculous. I don't like the Basketball Hall of Fame. So whenever anyone brings it up, I scoff at it because it's just simple. It's a simple Hall of Fame, and it's like, change it. I just want them to change it. But
I think my bad for cutting you off.
No, you good.
I think the Basketball Hall of Fame isn't like every other sports Hall of Fame because NFL, MLB is taking a lot of statistics into account a lot more than the NBA Hall of Fame. What I noticed with the NBA Hall of Fame and even with Yao Ming, obviously, like he had his short years. He didn't play too long in the NBA, but the impact that he had while he was here and being that bridge of that gap from like Asian Americans or just Asian flat out into an Americanized NBA, you saw the culture shift immediately, especially with him being able to play with another player like Tracy McGrady or Steve Francis or just like you got to understand what they're doing outside of the game too is a reason why they could be inducted in the Basketball Hall of Fame as well. Do I agree with you that the NBA needs their own that's just based like it's prestigious, like borderline like Mount Rushmore? Yes, of course. But I feel like basketball, especially now in this day of age, is playing so much more of a role, not only in sports, but for culture as well. You see people in like Canada finally got a championship. You see other players coming from the first Japanese player just got drafted in the first round with Hachimura. You see culture just being accepted a lot more in the NBA than you see it in the MLB or the NFL, which is a lot easier for you to be able to respect people for what they do outside of basketball as well. So I mean, just like for instance, I read recently that Luol Deng is doing the $150 million investment in housing in Chicago.
Yeah,
He doesn't play here anymore, and he's still helping out the city. Do I think that's a reason to get into the any form of Hall of Fame? Absolutely. You are bettering a city and you are investing into something. But if we're gonna base it like every other sport, like his stats and what he did in the league, then obviously Luol Deng is not a Hall of Famer. But it's so much bigger than sports. And that's like the biggest message in NBA right now is it's so much bigger than me just being an athlete. I'm so much bigger than just a hooper, especially with everything happening last season. So although it isn't nearly as prestigious, I think it definitely means a lot to be a part of that still entirely.
It is. And like I said, no disrespect to anybody that's in the Hall of Fame because it is a prestigious point. I just wish the NBA would make their own Hall of Fame. And no disrespect to Yao Ming. Like I said, he's one of my favorite players, one of my favorite big men, one of my favorite players. And like I said, just like for instance, Stephon Marbury is going to be in the Hall. He's going to be in the Basketball Hall of Fame. I would doubt that he doesn't make the Basketball Hall of Fame. Like you have players like that that's going to go into the Hall of Fame. I just wish the NBA would just make their own Hall of Fame. That's just my only wish they would do. That's just
I agree.
But we got one more topic, and because we're not gonna do our last topic, we got one more topic. We're gonna go to the NFL real quick. So it's a great, like I said, each week give an explanation. Each week here's what we're gonna be doing. We're going to be basically counting down our top. We're going to be naming our top 5 from each position. We're going to start off at the quarterback position. Next week's going to be running back, and it's going to switch up. We might do defensive back next week or something like that. But regardless of what it is, each week though there will be a top 5 for each position, and by the end of that, it'll be composed of our top 5 players at each position. And yeah, so let's get it going. We're going to do quarterback today. Which one of you guys want to start first?
I want to hear you. I want to hear you.
Oh, you want to hear I? Okay. So, I'm going to go from 5 to 1. So, my number 5, I'm putting Russell Wilson right there.
Before you start, this is based off of last season, not the entirety of their career.
Yeah, last season going into this year.
Okay.
So, my number 5, I am putting Russell Wilson right there. And it is for obvious reasons that he led that team to the playoffs this year. And it was the defense, too, that led them there, too. But he had no run game. He had no help really on the offense other than his wide receivers, a couple of his wide receivers. Russell Wilson obviously has been there for a while. He's been that main focal point, and he deserved his payday that he got. So Russell Wilson is obviously in my top 5, so I'm putting Russell Wilson at that number 5 spot. Number 4, I'm putting Drew Brees right there. And it's hard for anyone not to put Drew Brees in their top 5. And like I know you're looking like, oh no, but Drew Brees obviously deserves to be in that top 5. And if he's too low, then I'll let you say that yourself. But he's at that number 4 spot. It's hard for me not to put him in there. Stats show it every single year. He had a couple of bad breaks in the playoffs now 2 years in a row that really weren't his fault at all. He should have been in the Super Bowl literally 2 years in a row. Drew Brees is still playing at the top of his game. That's my number 4. Number 3, as much as I really don't like to say this, it's Aaron Rodgers. And it's basically on the simple fact. Aaron Rodgers doesn't really have help. Now, he's going to have help this year. So this is really where you're going to see it as a simple fact. But Aaron Rodgers, on a simple fact, is the greatest talent, one of the greatest talents. He has one of the strongest arms, one of the best playmaking abilities. It's Aaron Rodgers. I mean, Pro MVP, and he basically goes in there, I'm not going to say by himself, but he wills that team to at least 8 to 9 wins every single season. It pains me to put them at 3, but it is what it is. Number 2, and this is a guy that I feel is going to take over the spot of the number 1 spot at the end of the year. I'm putting Pat Mahomes right there. And honestly, I think that's self-explanatory. He came in, big man Mahomes. He came in basically tearing up every single defense. He didn't play that well in his playoff game that he played against the Patriots. I feel like that will change this year. But and we're going to see what he does because if they don't have Tyreek Hill, we're going to get a better understanding of what he can do without his best playmaker and without a run game also. But like I said, though, Patrick Mahomes at the two. Number one is obvious. I feel like this should be on everybody's list. If it's not, then I'm very concerned about your health. Tom Brady should be number one on everybody's team. He's the greatest football player of all time. He's the greatest quarterback of all time. That's self-explanatory. But yeah, that's my list. Eddie, I want to hear your list now.
Okay, my list is entirely different, and I'm going based off of what they have with them next season. Number 5, Matt Ryan. You can't just necessarily just look. Check it out. And this is why I didn't. and this is why I didn't put Russell Wilson in there. I didn't put Russell Wilson in there for a simple reason. Check it out. Okay. They ended 7-9 last season. He passed for 4,900 yards. 4,900 yards with a 35-7 touchdown to interception ratio. He had a passer rating of 108.1. Like he's in a great situation. He still has the best wide receiver in the league right now, Julio Jones.
Whoa. The best?
The best.
Whoa!
You go name 2 better than Julio Jones right now.
DeAndre Hopkins, Odell Beckham.
I can't do it. I'm sorry. Julio is just too good. Physically gifted athlete, and that is Julio Jones.
All
right.
I agree.
I'm sticking. Like Julio Jones is this generation's Megatron. Although Megatron was still in this generation, Julio Jones is, as far as size, speed. Like you can't be that big running that fast. Like I get Odell is amazing. You already know I'm an Odell stan. But Julio Jones, you got to give the respect where it's given.
I am giving him the respect where he's given, but here's the problem with here. Look, I want to talk. You know what? Here's what we're gonna do. They got me started on the wide receivers. Finish your quarterbacks, and we're going to wide receivers, and we're going to.
Okay. Number 4 at quarterback. I got to put Aaron Rodgers. That's self-explanatory. He great quarterback. He just needs to stay healthy. He needs support. Like he needs help. He needs a line. He needs help. Packers aren't looking too nice right now, but I still think he's gonna play to his ability. Number 3 is your number 1, Tom Brady. Tom Brady is my number 3 for this simple reason. Yes, Tom Brady. Check it out. Tom Brady is the number 1 point guard, number 1 quarterback, obviously, of all time so far right now. Tom Brady is also 41 or 42 now. Mm-hmm. This league is only getting more skilled, and a lot more skilled players are coming into the league. You see somebody like Mahomes take the spotlight last year, and suddenly, Tom Brady is still great. I'm not at all downplaying him. It's crazy that I even felt the need to put him at 3, but with number 2, Drew Brees. Drew Brees, in my opinion, is going to have a better season than Tom Brady next year. Drew Brees is going to play great. NFC South is strong and it's tough, but Drew Brees is going to play very well, like he has consistently played his entire career.
Can I ask you something?
Yeah.
All right, so look, as you just said, the NFC South is going to be tough next year.
Yeah.
So, who's to say? Because the Patriots division is going to be weak like it is every single year.
Every year.
They're going to win that division once again. Now, granted, who's to sit here and say that the Saints are the 7-9 season or 8-8 season? Because the answer is, you know how iffy they are. They might be good this year and go 10-6 or 11-5, and the Falcons might go 13-3 again, and then the Bucks might end up showing up with Jameis Winston and different.
Jameis Winston.
Hey, look, I'm just saying. I'm putting it in perspective. I'm putting it in perspective. But Drew Brees has a good season, like he always has. Would you still keep him at that number 2 spot with his team having a losing record?
Depending on how he plays, yes, absolutely. I think a lot of the issue with the Saints wasn't their offense; it was clearly their defense and their King Fatty. It's obvious their defense was their issue. I mean, they had Eli Apple. Come on. Like, you obviously it's not your
He
offense.
played better with them than he did with
They were
y'all.
losing games with putting up 42 points. There were teams that were putting up 49 against them. And there were teams that were putting up when they had 35, 38. Like, it's clearly their defense's issue. So yes, Drew Brees number 2, in my opinion, over Tom Brady, just because of the scenarios that they're put into. And Gronk retired. Number 1
They
target.
got Michael Harry.
No, let's keep going. Let's keep going. Go ahead.
And number 1, obviously, Pat Mahomes. Mahomes still young. Best situation, in my opinion, with the Chiefs. And obviously, if Tyreek still is there. But although he fell short against the Patriots, he has an absurd arm. And he's guaranteed to give them 10 times better of a chance, especially deep into the playoffs. Throughout the season, his game is self-explanatory. He's quick. He has amazing arm. He's smart, and he plays with a swagger. He got a swagger about him at a young age already, and that's something that obviously I don't know. I feel like a lot of the NFL, especially at the quarterback position, as of recent, especially, we're so used to just Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, Drew Brees, and the fact that there is another athlete and not just a gifted, intelligent quarterback, but he is a gifted athlete with all around speed, arm strength, knowledge. Pat Mahomes is going to be once again in the MVP race, in my opinion.
I think he might win MVP again, honestly.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me at all.
G?
I am just so hurt. I'm so appalled. Eddie, man, I'm telling you. Look, I'm gonna go through my list and I'm gonna stop at Drew Brees because he is in my top 5, and then I'm gonna get to a piece of. All right, so my 5, my number 5 is Russell Wilson. I mean, Russell Wilson, Matt Ryan.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
Russell Wilson.
Oh,
Man.
Yeah.
All right. Number 4 is Mike. This might surprise some, even Aquino, you know. My 4 is Aaron Rodgers. My 3 is Drew Brees. My 2 is Patrick Mahomes. And my 1 is Tom Brady. Now, he say that Drew Brees has been, consistent, all these years, but I don't know anything over these past 18 years in the league that's been more consistent than Tom Brady and the Patriots, besides the 1 year that he got hurt.
That's true.
They've won the AFC East probably more times than I can remember. I think it's probably like 11, 12 times over that 18-year span. You got somebody that's led this team over the last 18 years or 17, I don't know, maybe even 19, that led them to 6 Super Bowls. And now, remind you, just won the Super Bowl last year. Even though he didn't play all that great, he did enough to win. I was very close. I'm going to get off that. I was very close to putting Patrick Mahomes at number 1 because of the year that he had, but I had to go back to the playoffs from last year and remember what that Patriots defense, who I didn't feel like was all that great.
It wasn't.
What they were able to do to him. They drew up a very, very good scheme to cover Tyreek Hill, even though he did get maybe like 2 plays in the second half that were very, very big. But in the first half, that offense was just bottled up. Like I never expected to see that. And I feel like Patrick Mahomes, he was his first year. He has room to grow. Yeah, I'll give him that. But I think at the end of next year, when we're having this discussion, he'll be number 1 and Tom Brady will be number 2. I will say that early.
So when we started this discussion, it was you, Josh, that said word for word, we are making this list out of what's going to happen next year. And all your point was for Tom Brady right there was the last 18 years. What's Tom Brady? You're gonna tell me and genuinely
He's
believe
gonna go
Tom
13 and
Brady?
3.
No,
He's gonna go 13 and 3.
I did say he won the Super Bowl. That was last year, and going into this year, I feel like he'll win another Super Bowl. Because we're going into next year, he's gonna. Well, hold on. So we're going to next year. I feel like he'll throw for 4,000 yards, lead the Patriots to another Super Bowl. Like, okay, like, I mean, what else you want? What else you want to hear? Like,
I just don't. I don't think. He's obviously going to throw for in between 4,200 and 4,500. No problem. 1,000%. I agree with that. I agree. Once again, he's going to have under 5 interceptions, unless they're obviously off of bobbles, which is a given. Like, it happens. But Drew Brees is like, I understand it. Tom Brady is the GOAT. He is our Michael Jordan, especially at QB. I understand it. But you're telling me that you would have took Michael Jordan on the Wizards over Kobe, like right there?
This isn't Michael Jordan on the
Wizards. Hold on. Oh, what? You saying Tom Brady right now is Michael Jordan on the Wizards?
I've never heard
of off a Super Bowl, bro. Off a Super Bowl. Victory.
Hey, but you saw. Hey, don't. I mean, we all watched the Super Bowl. You can't tell me Tom Brady entirely won the Super Bowl.
He didn't, but he
didn't even play that well.
It comes down to who made the plays to win and who didn't. Tom Brady led them to that touchdown that got them over. That's it. If the Rams scored more points, I feel like Tom Brady would have scored more points. He did what he had to do to win. That's just me, but that's my opinion on that.
I understand.
All right.
That is unbelievable. Oh my goodness. I'm called the rest of the show. The rest of this show, you are now Skip Bayless to me. That's all. Skip.
Okay, 40. I mean, all you saw last year was not necessarily a Tom Brady decline, but obviously losing strength in his arm. Obviously not. He never was quick. But the fact that he's moving like he's 42 now, like it's just going into another season. This won't be his last, but I believe the season following is definitely going to be his last.
I can understand what you're saying, but at the same time,
Brees don't get me wrong, but in my opinion, and you could see it through how they play. Although Brees has gotten injured numerous of times in his career, he still plays as if he's in his mid-30s, in my opinion. He moves around still. He's able to be somewhat mobile. Like Tom Brady, the moment you get out the pocket, it's borderline like he's limping around. Like that's just how he runs. I'm not saying that he's gonna be any form bad next season. Hell, he's number 3 for me. But at the same time, like you just gotta keep into account the AFC, like teams in the AFC as far as defense and just how they play. Tom Brady is going to be going against a lot of stress this season, especially being pressured at that old of an age. Like he's not going to be able to. Yes, they're going to run the typical 2-step slant, the 5-yard ins and the 5-yard outs and the bubble routes. I get it, but Tom Brady is making those very, very short, minimalistic plays and adding them up and stacking them on, while Drew Brees is still pushing you down the field and running a hurry up. Like he's just in better condition. He has a better arm right now. He's more mobile, and maybe he doesn't have the same decision making, but it's damn close. Like it's right there. So I just think Drew Brees is gonna fulfill expectations and more next season.
And Tom Brady's not.
No, he is.
He's going to make the playoffs. And like I said, he's going to throw for that great amount of yards. But look at their playbook. How many times has Tom Brady thrown? How many times does he throw over 25 yards down the field? None. Because they have Bill Belichick and a great offensive system to literally not put his workload to where Drew Brees' is. Drew Brees is still throwing down the field like 50 yards, 40 yards when Tom Brady is 10 plays straight, starts the game 11 for 11 on straight out routes, bubble routes, slants. He's a great quarterback and great decision making. It's just the Patriots playbook is 10 times more built for him than I feel like the Saints build for Drew Brees. The Saints build around their now young running backs and great receivers. So it's as simple as that. I think Drew Brees right now, though, going into next season, is going to have a better season than Tom Brady as a quarterback, not team, but as a quarterback.
As a quarterback, this is what I'm going to say. As a quarterback, Tom Brady is going to throw for 4,000 yards, and he's going to lead this team to a Super Bowl. Y'all mark my words. If I'm wrong, I will come back on this show and I'll eat crow. But I'm telling you this right now: if Drew Brees does not make the Super Bowl and Tom Brady does, there's no way he had a better season. Like I'm sorry.
I understand that.
Drew Brees has 2 more years left, and I'm telling you this now. He has 2 more years left. The only reason being, though, is because I feel like once he gets tired, because I don't think he's making the Super Bowl this year, and next year I don't think he's going to make it. I think he's going to realize that his time is gone. So 2 years is his max. Now, in those 2 years, is it possible to make the playoffs? It definitely is because they have the team to. But you got the Rams over there, which I think will be back here soon. I think the Rams will definitely be back here soon.
Go ahead.
And then also, like I said, I might talk crap about Matt Ryan, but the Falcons have a great team. And they were hurt. And they were hurt this year. And that was really the main reason why they were out.
That's why he's my 5. That's why
I
honestly I thought about putting Aaron Rodgers at 5, but Rodgers, like, the accuracy is there, the being a quarterback is there. It's just who he's around. Look, they don't even have Randall Cobb no more, and he wasn't even like a preliminary. Like it's tough. It's tough for him.
They got the one though.
Aquino would be on his way to your house right now if he put Matt Ryan over.
Oh, I know. We're just being realistic right now. We're going off of next year, what's possible, age you got to keep into account, the team you play for, the players you're surrounded by, coaching staff. And obviously that's why Aaron Rodgers is 4 for me and any form higher. It's hard to put him higher with everybody else up there. So.
All right, guys. I got one more topic to do with friends. Because now I want to hear Eddie talk about why the team. And I want to hear yours too, Josh. Because I'm really upset that you just said that, Eddie. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm really upset. So Eddie, your top 5 wide receivers.
Top 5 wide receivers. So this was something I'm prepped for, so we're going to go off the top right now. You got to put AB. Okay, I can't really give you a list 1 to 5 right now, but I'm gonna try my best. Number 1, Julio Jones. Number 2, Odell Beckham Jr. Number 3, Antonio Brown. Number 4, I don't want to say number 4, but I truly think he might mess around and finally show that he's great again. AJ Green. AJ Green could be number 4. And as long as this number 5 is in the league, he's always going to be top 5. It's Larry Fitzgerald. Like, Larry Fitzgerald up there. He doesn't drop balls. That's the biggest thing as a receiver. You don't drop balls.
Why are y'all disrespecting Nuke?
You're not dropping balls.
He dropped 0 balls last year.
Who?
You want to talk about Nuke?
DeAndre Hopkins.
I'm not putting D-Hop in there for one simple reason. I know D-Hop should be up there, but you cannot put one season stats.
One season?
I mean, has he been that consistent? Was he that consistent?
Yes.
Hey, so I get it. He didn't have a drop last season either. I need to see more. That's it.
More? What more do you want from him?
Out of my top 5, who would you take out? Other than
I'll tell you. I will tell you. G, go ahead.
Go ahead. No. You go ahead.
All right. I'm gonna give you my top 5. I'm gonna give you my top 5 wide receivers right here. I'm gonna go from 5 to 10. My number 5 is AJ Green. If he stays healthy, it's definitely going to be AJ Green. He was on pace to have probably about a good 10, 12 touchdowns last year. He had 6 in a matter of 5 games that he played, and he had 3 of them against the Ravens. So I'm picking AJ Green at the 5. Number 4, I am going to put. This is tough. It's tough right here. And it hurts me to say it because I want to put him up higher, but I just can't. I'm going to put Odell right there. Only reason being, here's the only reason. Here's the only reason. I have my reasons why. I have my reasons why. I'm putting Odell right there. Only reason being is because I'm talking about total production and being healthy. He wasn't healthy these last 2 seasons. That's not a knock on him. He just wasn't healthy. Last season, he only played like 12 games. Yes, he had a 1,000-yard season with 6 touchdowns, which was a good season.
Who was the Giants' 2-man? Who was the number 2 receiver?
Hold on. Stop. I'm gonna get to that too. No, wait. I'm gonna get to that too. Because then if that, I'll get to that again. Because if that's the case, I'm just gonna finish my list. I'll get to that.
I know where you're going. Good.
Yep. Number 3, I'm putting Julio right there. And here's the reason why. I have an explanation for it. Julio has 1 season. He has 2 seasons. I'm sorry. He has 1 season. He has 1 season that he has over 10 touchdowns. He does not get in the end zone. That was his first season that he's had over 5 touchdowns in like 4 years. He doesn't get in the end zone. He puts up yards, but he does not get in the end zone. So yes, that is a fair assessment. What you said that he's a modern day Calvin Johnson, because Calvin Johnson really didn't get in the end zone like that either. So that is a fair assessment. I will give you that as a fair assessment. And I think Julio's a great talent. He is a great talent. But he doesn't get in the end zone. That's his major knock. And I know you're going to say, oh, it's not his fault. That's Matt Ryan's fault. But it's not all the time Matt Ryan's fault. All last year, he had 3 touchdowns. Odell had more touchdowns than him in a matter of 3 games. Why is that the case? It should never be the case. And I know you're upset, blah, blah, blah. My number 2.
There were games that Julio Jones wasn't even targeted in the red zone. Give him an opportunity. Just throw this shit up.
So time out.
Just lob it to him. Like, oh my God.
Time out. When they did try to lob it to him this season and last season, he didn't jump. He dropped it. Are you forgetting the playoffs? The game that dropped him out of the playoffs the game before that? I mean, the year before that? Did he drop the game-winning touchdown? I know you're not forgetting that. Yeah, but I'm going to go to my number 2. My number 2 is DeAndre Hopkins. Now, back to your point, where you were saying he was the only option, Odell Beckham. DeAndre Hopkins is the only option. He's been the only option there since he got drafted. There's no one else there to take the pressure off because Will Fuller's always injured.
DeAndre Hopkins plays the Colts twice a year. Like
he does it against every team. What are you not understanding?
Oh Lord.
What are you not understanding? Hey, here's what's so more remarkable about it. DeAndre Hopkins has almost the same amount of touchdowns as Julio Jones has in his whole career. In a matter of 6, 7 seasons, and I mean in a matter of 3, 4 seasons less. Like every wide receiver that I put in this list has more touchdowns than has more touchdowns or less. Or like 3 or 4 less in a matter of less seasons than him. Why is that the case? It shouldn't be the case.
Touchdowns.
The fact that you had Antonio Brown at 3, when a man produces, he's been producing 8 years in a row now, putting up touchdowns 8 years in a row, unstoppable 8 years in a row now. He is the number 1 wide receiver. There's nothing to debate about that.
Who's above him in yards?
It might not be physically wise, because Julio Jones obviously is the most physically gifted wide receiver in the league. He's the Aaron Rodgers at the wide receiver position. But putting up stats, it's Antonio Brown. Simple.
Yards?
What about it?
What do you mean? Okay, I played receiver.
What about it?
I played receiver football. That was my number 1 position as a player. And the one thing that I always took more into account was I'm going to put us in the better situation to score. Yes, and that was our situation. So I wasn't worried if I had 4, 3, 2 touchdowns a game. I was goal set to get at least 120 to 150 yards. If I don't get it, then I have a bad game. When have you seen Julio have any less than 80 yards. And
But
if
he does do
did,
that, though.
it's less than 4 catches.
But he does do that. But he does do that. That's the crazy thing about it. Because then I could go on top of that too, Eddie. I know. You probably think I'm talking crazy, but I can go on top of that too. Are you forgetting that what Julio does? He's done it multiple seasons now. Julio will have a game where he has 40 yards, he has 50 yards, he has 60 yards, something like that in the low digits. And then he'll have some outrageous game where he puts up 270 or 300 against a crappy secondary.
Say that again, 270 or 300?
Okay, and that's great. Oh, but it's against the Panthers.
What other receivers putting up 270 or 300 yards on 10 catches?
It is against teams that don't have DB.
What other receiver is putting up with 8 to 10 catches, 270 or 300 yards?
And that is why it's remarkable. In those 200 and 300 yard games he be having, he has no touchdowns in those games. So he has
You're talking about touchdowns.
But no touchdowns. No, because that's the really old. Look, you know the reason why. You know the reason why people consider Davante Adams, because Davante Adams is considered a top 5, top 6 wide receiver in some people's lists.
Where?
There's a couple people that consider Davante Adams in the top 5, top 6.
That's why a couple people are crazy.
NFL players, that's that. The reason why they consider him so high because he gets in the red zone. He's a red zone wide receiver. So he gets in the red zone. You have to be able to do both of them. I know Antonio Brown will get the yards. I know he will get the touchdowns. I know he will get both. That's what separates him from Julio. I know DeAndre Hopkins will do both. With a crappy quarterback at that. He got 1,000 yards with 11 touchdowns of Brian Hoyer.
It's hard not to score when you're getting targeted.
Brian Hoyer, Eddie, Brian Hoyer.
Let me just do my top 5.
Yes, please. Solidify this real quick.
All right, man. I'm gonna go from 5 to 1. I go from 5 to 1. My 5 is AJ Green. He's been, consistent, very good for the last about 6-7 years he's been in the league, maybe 8, whatever. My 4, I got DeAndre Hopkins at 4. I understand he has 0 drops. I understand he's been, consistently great, 1,200 yards all 4 or 5 seasons he's been in the league, but I just can't put him over the other 3 people I have on this.
I need to see more too.
Yeah, give me one more year of that, and I might slide him over my 3, which just so happens to be Odell.
You gonna slide him over Odell?
How is that about Odell now? Like what?
I mean, and this is my question for you before I get to my 2 on my own. In the playoffs, what has he done? In the big moments in the playoffs, what has he done?
Are we talking about DeAndre Hopkins?
We're talking about Odell. I'm asking Eddie, sorry. I should have clarified.
Last playoff game he
dropped passes? 3 of them?
Yeah, last playoff game he played in New York, he dropped 3 open passes. You are correct.
I can't put him no higher than that. And no
it's
lower,
hard to catch balls from Eli. I'm not gonna lie to you. Eli is the worst Hall of Famer that is gonna be in the NFL.
That is true.
Simple.
That is true.
The absolute worst.
That's probably the case, but I'm gonna keep going. All right, my number 2 is Antonio Brown. Yes, Antonio Brown. Like you said, he's been consistent and unstoppable over the last 8 years or whatever with the Steelers. And I think he's going to do some great things for Oakland. But my number 1, Julio Jones, that's about as unstoppable as it gets. And when I go back to doing it in big time moments, when he got against my Patriots in the 4th quarter, I was just like that. I don't know if y'all remember that catch I'm talking about on the sideline, one hand, nigga, like, bro, like I'm just sitting there, like, nigga, like, relax. We trying to win this Super Bowl, like, come on, dog. But nah, like, yeah, bro, he just unstoppable. I don't really think too much of the whole touchdown thing.
No.
I don't. It doesn't really affect me that much because I see what he does on the field and the value that he brings to that team. So that's my top five, and I'm sticking to it. So
I am flabbergasted right now. I am completely flabbergasted. I'm gonna tell you why. Yes, he had that great, and like I said, that great Super Bowl game that he played. I'm not knocking him for that. It was amazing. But, and here is what it is. Eddie, you were talking about he's not getting targeted all the time. But what we saw last year was a upcoming wide receiver on the Steelers, and Juju Smith-Schuster have 1,000 yards, have the same amount of touchdowns as Julio, but but Antonio Brown still had better stats than Julio as far as touchdowns, except for yards. He didn't have better yards, Those yards, he always racks up those. But his touchdowns always are lacking. I know you said those don't matter to y'all, but those matter to me because that shows that he can get into the red zone. But it shows that he can play with another wide receiver, another 1,000-yard wide receiver. I know a lot of people always commend Julio for taking pressure off of Calvin Ridley and taking pressure off of Muhammad Sanu, Austin Hooper. But like Antonio Brown did that and still got his own in every single game that he played. So what y'all saying, sitting here and saying that Julio is better than him, I just don't understand it because we're looking at the stats. And if you're looking at the playoff stats, their stats are identical in every single such except for the yards category. And that's because he racks up his yards. I understand that. But we looking at the touchdowns and you look at the yards, it's identical. It's
One
completely
thing
identical.
one thing you got to really keep into account is the amount of adjustments defenses have to make to a certain receiver. The reason I have Odell at 3, or no, I have Odell at 2. The reason I have Odell at 2 instead of 3 is because look at the adjustments that he causes to the fact that he is a consistent double team. You consistently have a safety over top on him and a corner at least shading him up until 15 to 12 yards. So you got to take that into account. Yes, there's just a lot of scenarios where you are running, and like I said, you got to keep in the things into account. A lot of these big plays that uh, Antonio Brown is getting are on very, very stock routes. They're on drag routes, they're on slant routes, and they're on post corners. That's what he's running his game off of, and that's what you know what I mean? Like it's a tough guard, like especially when you got Juju on the other side. The reason why I think Odell is going to overtake number 2 and go to 1 over Julio Jones now is for that same exact reason. He has Jarvis Landry on the other side now. So they can't just sit here and double team Odell like he was getting doubled in New York. The moment that they got to go against Landry and then Odell on the inside or Odell on the left and Landry on the right or vice versa, there's no there's no safety over the top for one of them, and it's not going to be they're not going to simply just keep one of them in single coverage. There's absolutely no way. So Odell, especially and as crazy as this should sound, and as crazy as this sounds, Cleveland Browns Odell is going to be much better than New York Odell. It's a tough standard to reach to, but you are playing with a developing quarterback who I think has promise. Baker Mayfield is going to be good. And if he's not good, he's going to be great. But there's that without a doubt, he's at least going to be good. And then now you have a preliminary offensive star on the other side with Jarvis Landry. You're going to get 10 times more open. And you don't want Odell in that open field. You don't want Odell when he catches the ball to turn around like that. He's obviously, in my opinion, gonna be number 1, but right now it's Julio Jones. AB, I don't even keep in the conversation no more for the simple fact that you can tell when AB wants to play and doesn't want to play. He said it himself. If he doesn't want to play football, he doesn't have to. Every other one of these receivers are I'm playing football. I want to play. I want to
Wait,
win.
wait.
You haven't yet heard AB say in anything, I just want to win. I want to be a great receiver. He said multiple times, though, throughout this entire time of the offseason, a simple, I don't have to play football no more. I'm
Because he
good.
doesn't. He's in the Hall of Fame. That's what he's saying. He doesn't have to play football no more.
Hall of Fame? You think he's in the Hall of Fame
Yes.
already?
Yes.
Already.
Yes. Yes.
My
Is
God.
Calvin Johnson? Is Calvin Johnson in the Hall of Fame? Time out. Is Calvin Johnson in the Hall of Fame? Is Calvin Johnson in the Hall of Fame? Answer
Megatron.
that.
Yeah, he will be. He will be.
Absolutely.
So time out. Wait a minute. Let's pull up the Carfax real quick. Because if Calvin Johnson's in the Hall of Fame, whew, I'm positive, and I know for sure Antonio Brown's in theAll of Fame.
Calvin Johnson had everything that you were talking about in touchdowns. Like,
You're right, he did. So look. If he was to stop playing right now, their stats are identical. Literally identical. Only difference is Calvin has more touchdowns by him by 6 touchdowns. Their stats are identical. And you're telling me he wouldn't go into the Hall of Fame?
How many years has AB been in right now? What's his count? I think he's at 7 or 6.
Yeah, like 7 or 8, 1 or 2.
Yeah. Exactly. 8 seasons. Megatron played how many seasons?
8.
Exactly.
Okay. So if he was to retire right now, he would go to the Hall of Fame.
To be honest, it's up in the air. It's up in the air for
not
Megatron.
up in the air.
Like, I don't think if that's the case and you want to put it like based off of that, I truly believe that neither of them are in the Hall of Fame at that.
If that's the case, then Calvin shouldn't go into the Hall of Fame.
The reason I say Calvin goes into the Hall of Fame is because he literally refueled that quote unquote moss. Like he refueled it like the culture shock.
You're right. And I'm not denying that.
Exactly.
I'm not denying that at all. You're right about that. And another thing is, you know who he sounds like? Y'all great wide receiver that everyone loves to love. He sounds like Randy Moss if that's the case, because he does say stuff like that. And Antonio Brown always says that he takes plays off too. And Randy Moss used to do the same exact thing. But guess what? When he plays 100%, he's unstoppable. We've seen it. He's unstoppable. He can't be stopped.
We've seen AB get stopped.
What quarterback have you seen stop him? Please tell me.
We've seen AB get stopped. But that's the thing. It's not just one corner stopping him. It's defensive
What
looks.
team have you seen stop him?
How many titles he got? The
How many
Patriots
titles
clearly
got?
stopping him.
How many titles Julio got? How many titles DeAndre Hopkins got? How many titles Odell have? How many titles does any of these top 5 wide receivers have? None.
I'm gonna break it down like this, man. I'm gonna ask y'all this: if one of these top 5 receivers win a Super Bowl, who is going to have the biggest effect on that team's success?
Julio.
No.
There you have it.
Julio.
No, he wouldn't.
Julio.
No, he wouldn't.
Huh? Go ahead.
No.
Go ahead.
If it was anyone, Odell would. Sorry, not sorry.
It's tough to say that for the Browns just because
No,
you don't know
but it's
necessarily
true.
what they're gonna do yet. But no, because
true.
there's a good chance that like Odell is getting doubled and Jarvis Landry breaks out and is suddenly in the top 10 the receiver talk.
But that's the Odell effect. That's all that means. It's the Odell effect. It's just like y'all say it's the Julio effect. It's the Odell effect.
It's just like he's that great. You can't let him go off. So like,
Yeah.
that's the
So
thing.
it's an Odell effect. They're gonna double team him, but he's still going to get open. I know he will. I've seen games where Field doesn't get open because he gets double teamed and he just has 40 yards.
My answer would have to be Julio, because he can go off like y'all said for 300. He can literally take over a game like no other receiver can.
300 yards. That's foolish.
He did it on the highest stage. He literally took over in the fourth quarter when it mattered the most. And I cannot say that because Antonio Brown's been to Super Bowl. He has. And so he has.
When
they played the Cardinals, he was on that team.
He didn't. I don't even count that Super Bowl as him playing. He didn't.
Nah, he was on the team. We gonna count that. We gonna count that.
Don't count that Super Bowl. He played. Hold on. Wait. When did he play for the Cardinals? I mean, when did they play against the Cardinals in the Super Bowl? Was that 2010?
Yeah, it was like 2009, 2010.
That does not count at all.
even if we don't count that, he's played in big games, and he wasn't the reason that they won.
That's fact. That's fact.
He wasn't.
That's fact.
He wasn't.
That's fact.
Bell, you could point the Big Ben.
He wasn't because in 2016, that man was unstoppable. I'm pretty sure he over 400 yards in 3 games.
Damn, that's a good 3 years ago.
No.
It doesn't matter.
No. Was that in the playoffs?
It was in the playoffs.
Did they go to the Super Bowl?
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
Because if we're doing that, hold on, time out. If we're doing that right there, Julio ain't been to the playoffs in 2 years now. In the last year he went.
And when he went to the Super Bowl and he played his best at the highest
But
level.
he lost though. It doesn't matter. He lost.
They all lost.
No. He lost. You're right. They all lost, but he lost. So obviously, him playing his highest wasn't the best.
Like they all lost. Like
He said you're right.
It wasn't the best. Because guess what? Because this is a double standard that you're doing right now. He lost. Because guess what? If Tom Brady was to lose a game, if Peyton Manning was to lose the Super Bowl, if any quarterback was to lose the Super Bowl, they would get the blame. It wouldn't be the team. They would be the face of it. They would get the blame. Everyone blames Matt Ryan for that loss, but blame him. Blame Mike Shanahan. Blame all of them. But he lost, though.
I don't blame Matt Ryan for that.
No, you want to know who I blame? Offensive coordinator. You're up 28-7?
Yeah.
28-7, and you don't try to drain no clock. You don't do
not once.
Like,
not once.
Like, no, I don't blame him.
I blame him. I blame him. Matt Ryan, all of them. They all get blamed.
Like, I mean,
Hey, look, we gonna see going into the season because right now we obviously aren't making any strides. I'm picking Antonio Brown. We're gonna see what they both do, and we're gonna see what they both do. I'm picking Antonio Brown to have a better season this year, regardless. Even though he plays with crappy Derek Carr, we will see what he does this year. I expect, and I'm not gonna lie, I expect Odell Beckham to nuke to have a better season than Julio Jones too. And I'm expecting Julio Jones to have about a good 5 touchdowns, like usual. So, with that being said, I'm gonna go to either one of you guys for closing thoughts, and then we're gonna close the show out. Eddie, any closing thoughts?
I'm gonna need Josh to go first.
Josh,
as I gather mine.
You know, just watch out for Tom Brady. You know, he's gonna be 42 going into this season. He's gonna be the same Tom Brady as old. They can dunk whatever you don't like it. Try and stop it. You can. As for basketball, you know, I really want to see a good season. You know, as a Charlotte Hornets fan, it's hard to watch times, but you know, I just want to see a good season with the season being as open as it is with the Warriors injuries. So, I'm gonna kick it up.
Eddie?
So, for my closing, just to reimburse it and just to remind everybody that is watching, and especially you guys, Drew Brees, and I'll make this statement right now, Drew Brees in this upcoming NFL season is going to have a better production season than Tom Brady. And that's a guarantee on my end. That I truly believe. I'm also going to make one more bold statement. It's going to be on the NBA. You will see Luka Doncic in the MVP race next season. You won't expect it, but you will see the Mavs somewhere in between the 6 and 8. And they will be in the playoffs. I'll guarantee that. They're going to be in the playoffs. And then you're going to see Luka in the top 5 race, the same way that Paul George was in the same race this season. Paul George was 3. Do I think Luka's going to be 3? No. I think LeBron is going to be somewhere back in there. But Luka is going to be in the top 5, 1,000%.
Side note before you start, the NBA awards is going on right now, and Luka Doncic just won Rookie of the Year.
Well, congratulations, Luka. Congratulations. And like I said, it's been a pleasure. Expect us back later this week. Like I said, we do 2 times. We do 2 times a week. It'll probably be Friday. We want to thank everybody for listening. Thank everybody for tuning in. And I'm keeping my statement. Antonio Brown is definitely better. Everyone have a blessed night. All right.